way out here from the radar site. So we're several thousand feet up off the ground by the time the radar gets to that storm. So that is something just to always kind of keep in mind. And you look at the storm track here. Fergusonville 116. I'm going to update this because we're already past that time. And let's see, we'll slip this thing down very quickly and put a time of arrival. And again, we're talking about a storm that is moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. Looks like there's another circulation north of Cambridge currently, and we'll keep an eye on that one as well. But the main circulation and the main threat right now is going to be just a little bit north of 460 between Crew and Blackstone. It's going to be right in here, and that's actually a very small track. I'm going to go back and draw a little bit broader one, do this thing, make sure everybody's covered. And we'll go all the way out here, and we're moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Okay, so that's going to bring it near Fergusonville at 119. Which is essentially just about right now. Spainsville 125, Winterham at 138, Fieldstown at 139, and Coverly at 143. And again, the severe thunderstorm or the tornado warning with this only goes until 1:30, so we will see what happens after that time. Again, it's going to be just a little bit to the east of Crew. It's probably going to pass about 3 miles east of Crew. The circulation here very shortly after that. Amelia and Manborough will be on the list. So again, circulation is going to be right in here. It's headed north and east. So there's Jetersville, Manborough, going to be headed right up between those two. And we'll see what the circulation does with the next radar scan. Again, we get these in about every 4 to 5 minutes and see what this does. Earlier, the circulation was a bit stronger. Another circulation down here north of Cambridge, and this is what we're going to see. This atmosphere is just left alone. It's not going to do anything, but as soon as you get a storm that comes through that, it's going to cause that storm to rotate and potentially produce a tornado. And it's not something that is a wrong model product. We've already seen a confirmed tornado. So we know that it is doing what it's supposed to do in terms of being conducive for tornadoes. There's not a tornado watch, just occasional warnings, and there has been a confirmed tornado. So this top now, only about 18,000 feet. This thing keeps passing on to the old graphics from Florence. All right, so we'll go back here again. Here's the broad view. Again, a pretty wide circulation there. Lots of lightning here. So lightning's getting a little bit more numerous, and that's a little bit concerning. It looks like the area right in here that you have a little bit of an inflow area north of Blackstone, which is very common. So a little bit of an inflow area here. So the air is likely suspended a little bit off the surface from the updraft. So air coming into the storm and lifting upward. That is typical to see in a tornadic storm. And the potential for the tornado does continue here for about another 10 minutes, at least on the warning. The potential itself could last a lot longer than that, but the warning will go for at least another 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, as the official expiration time is not until 1:30. So again, we've already had a confirmed tornado, so it's a serious situation when we get something like this. Here's a loop of this coming on through. Again, circulation is going to be just a little bit north of the Blackstone area, a little bit to the east of Crew at this time. And we'll stop and look at this thing over on Doppler Max 6 3D and see how this looks. If we can pull up 3D, just want to see the if we've got any indication of any updraft region in this. Okay, so the three-dimensional does not really show me a whole lot. We'll do a cross-section on this and see if that looks any different. Sometimes cross-section will give you a better idea of where the updraft is within the storm, but these storms are just, they're not your classic type of supercell by any stretch. So swinging through this thing, nothing looks real evident, except for maybe right in here where you got a little bit of an overhang right there. So that's probably where your updraft is, and that is coinciding on Doppler Max 6 3D of this area. It's going to be right in here. So just a little bit north of Blackstone and east of Crew, and we'll look at the velocities on that, and we'll move this over again, and there it is. So again, it's this area in here. We have winds that are flowing away from the radar site toward the radar site. So it's a much broader circulation. Honestly, at this time, it doesn't look that impressive. It could get ramped up again. And so that's why the warning has been extended a little bit longer, or why it was issued to go a little bit longer. This circulation down to the south near Kinbridge, it's weak. It's mostly inbound winds. These green shadings indicate winds coming in toward the radar, so it is not quite as concerning right now. Up around the Richmond area, everything that we've got up there is currently just plain old rain and some lightning strikes. So here's a look at the Richmond area, just to let you guys know out ahead of this what is coming in or potentially could be coming in. Some lightning around 288 and then out Midlothian Turnpike and down Hull Street. And then we get into the tornadic storm. Now, if this one does keep going, then stay alert here as we get into the Winterpock area, Moseley, Midlow, maybe even Short Pump, and even into the city of Richmond. Still a ways down to our south and west, but the potential at least is going to be there as the storm continues to head in that direction. I'm going to take this out just a little bit. You got more storms out near Farmville and up into Cumberland County, and more storms developing farther south as well. You got one down near Lake Gaston that we will keep an eye on as it continues to come to the north. So let's go ahead and save that one and come on back to the main threat area and look at the velocities here and see if anything has changed. All right, so right now still a pretty intense storm. We'll take you in tighter, and the circulation continues to be pretty loose, and it is now passing Crewe. It's north of Blackstone. Threat area is in there. So Crewe, it's passing Crewe, and the next would be Jetersville and the Manborough area. I'm going to go ahead and save that one. And we will draw a time of arrival on this as well based on the updated movement. And again, it's going north and east at about 40 miles per hour. So that is going to put it near Fergusonville at 123. Spainville 129, Earls 133, Winterham 141, Fieldstown and at 143, Coverley at 147, and Matoax at 149. And again, these times are well past the expiration time. It expires in 9 more minutes, so we will see if this tornado warning gets extended past that time. Hopefully it'll be a quick spin up and it will go away, but just based on what we've seen this morning, nothing would surprise me at this point. We could see this thing extended once again. So let me go ahead and save that. We'll come back here and look at the broad picture again and just kind of take you through everything that's going on. If you're just joining us, tornado warning for Nottoway and Amelia County, and that storm continues to track north and east, and so it will be coming, if it does maintain itself, it will be coming into Chesterfield County. The storm itself will come into Chesterfield County. It's whether or not it has circulation at that point. And the whole atmosphere here all around the Piedmont here in Tidewater does have a good bit of shear in it. So any storm that gets going, gets any kind of vertical component to it, will have the potential to rotate and produce a tornado. Already seen that earlier today. About 10:30 this morning, tornado down in Mecklenburg County, Daniels Road, people trapped in their homes, and a good bit of damage that Wayne Covell was showing us firsthand during the noon show today. And watching this storm as it continues to move north and east, we have a tornado warning in the area there in the hot pink area. That's the only tornado warning right now. It doesn't mean it won't be the only one for the rest of the day, as again, the atmosphere is still pretty conducive for further development. And we have a little inflow region right in here. That's going to coincide with the updraft, which is going to be right here north of Blackstone and to the east of Crewe. And again, that area is going to be pushing up toward Manborough next. We'll look at the velocities here. Velocities just do not look that good anymore. So this is a good thing. We don't have that tight circulation that we had a moment ago. And if it's 1 or 2 more scans, maybe this thing will actually be canceled a little bit early. As it stands right now, it's going to continue for about 6 more minutes. 6 more minutes on this tornado warning. And we will see, we're looking at this right now, I don't see anything very impressive in there. So unless something changes, this will likely be allowed to expire. We'll see if that in fact is the case. Let's check out the times of arrival again. Spainville 129, Earls 133. Winterham 141, Fieldstown 143, Coverley at 147, and Matoax at 149. And again, that's taking it up through Amelia County and into parts of Chesterfield County as well. Again, the loose organization there doesn't look anything like when I came to you about 15 minutes ago on the air, but it still has a good core with it, meaning it still has the ability to make use of some of that rotation, some of that shear to create rotation in the storm. Not as much lightning. That's something I like to see. That means that there's not as much of an updraft in there. And as this heads toward Manborough, main threat here, if it does lose its tornadic circulation like it looks like it is right now, is going to be very heavy rainfall, possibly some flash flooding as well as just a few lightning strikes. But flash flooding outside of the threat for a tornado is going to be the main concern. The other circulation down to the south does not look very good right now, so it's just one that we're looking at the moment. And Chula is not on the list, but Chula is within this fan of the threat area right now. And hopefully this thing goes away long before it gets up toward the 360 corridor, which would include Amelia Courthouse and Chula. And those are your times of arrival here from Spainville at 1:29 to Mattox at 1:49. And again, these storms, they don't stand high into the atmosphere, only about 20,000 feet, at times about 25,000 feet. But it's a lot of rotation based on just the low-level spin in the atmosphere. So these are what we call low-topped supercells. Very low. A lot of times you won't have a ton of lightning with them, and they will still have some pretty strong rotation with them. So looking at the circulation again, does not look good. The warning's still in place. That polygon is still on there for about another 4 minutes. And right now, that's about the only thing in town that is concerning around central Virginia. Farther south, let us shift this down and get a look at this other storm. And it does have some rotation south and west of Blackstone. What we're looking at here, winds flowing outbound from the radar side in red and inbound in green. And so that would indicate that there could be a circulation with this storm. It would be this counterclockwise circulation right in here. That's a little bit north of Route 40 in far southern sections of Nottoway County. So that's something to keep an eye on, but as of right now, that is not within the tornado warning area. That's not the reason that the tornado warning was issued. It's this kind of mess that we have here right on the Lunenburg right on the Nottoway and Amelia County line, and it no longer looks like it is a main threat at this point. Again, we've got just a couple more minutes on this tornado warning, but I would imagine, unless something gets ramped up here in the next couple of minutes, that it would be allowed to expire. And now when I look at this, there's a storm that looks like it could have a tornado warning on it right there. All right, so what we're looking at here, this is a new storm coming up toward Kenbridge. You've got a decent outbound and very strong inbound winds, and so there is a circulation there south of Kenbridge that I would think would not surprise me at all to see a tornado warning on. So that's the main issue right now. We've got one circulation there, you've got another one north of it, and the initial one has kind of fallen apart. So I would expect this tornado warning to be allowed to expire, and I could see something going up at any moment now for the area down near Kenbridge. So if you live in the Kenbridge area, I just need to stay tuned, because I could see this possibly triggering a tornado warning at some point. So then Kenbridge down in Lunenburg County, northeast Lunenburg County, stay alert down that way. And then also another broader circulation south and west of Blackstone up in Nottoway County. So Lunenburg, Nottoway counties, circulations in each of those counties. This thing right here just does not look good at all, and I would expect that that warning is going to be allowed to expire at any minute now. It's going to be out of here in a minute and a half, and after that, we will see what happens with these other two storms. So the tornado threat continues across the area. There is a marginal risk for severe weather. It's one of those unique situations where the risk is mainly just tornadoes, and that's it. You don't normally see that. Normally it's a risk of damaging winds and hail and maybe an isolated tornado. But this is an interesting situation where it's very conditional. If you do get storms that go up, there's a chance that they could produce tornadoes, and that is really the one and only threat that we are dealing with for today. All a part of the rich low-level moisture that we have with with what was left of Florence here, moving through the area, and the wind shear associated with that as well. So it's a couple reasons that we are seeing this, and it's something we'll be dealing with for the rest of the day with any storms that happen to get enough development with them. So as of right now, that tornado warning got about a minute left on it, and we will see if it is allowed to expire or if it's extended. I don't see much in there anymore, so it looks like it could be expired at any moment now. Farther south, two circulations. Again, one south and west of Blackstone and one south of Kenbridge. The one near Kenbridge, I could think they could pull the trigger on that at any moment now for a tornado warning. But as of right now, it is just this one farther north. It should be allowed to expire here at any moment. And let's see here. Looking at other storms across the area, here we've got a new tornado warning. All right, new tornado warning now. This is for the Richmond metro area. It is out near Windham. All right, so new tornado warning right now. Let's Check this one out. I'm going to draw time of arrival. So we have a tornado warning now, and this is a significant rotation. All right, so let's go in here and draw a track on this one, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. All right, so Johnson Springs, 130, Hylas at 134, Casco 137, Goodall at 141, Lone Oak 143, Scotchtown at 148, Oliver 152, and on toward Vernon at 155, and Hewlett near 157. So a new tornado warning. This is going to be in the Richmond area right now. This is a brand new storm out ahead of everything else, and a new storm. So the Blackstone storm has been allowed to expire. This is a new significant circulation. All right, so this one is down in the Richmond area, and we're looking at the Rockville area. So here's Short Pump, here's Mannequin Sabbath down here, and there's Rockville. This is a significant circulation coming up toward Rockville right now, about to cross Interstate 64. Very strong outbound winds, strong inflow winds as well. And those outbound winds are what concerns me most, because those are the winds that are flowing in and upward into the storm. So a lot of times you'll see strong inbound winds, and those would indicate just an outflow dominant storm or maybe just some outflow. That's a significant circulation south and west of Rockville right now, coming up toward Rockville. Potential for a tornado, a new tornado warning just now issued for that area. We also have a new tornado warning. All right, the storm that I was just mentioning a moment ago, down, let's go to Doppler Max 6-3D, down toward Blackstone. This is the tornado potential right around Kinbridge. Now there's a tornado warning on that storm as well. So we have two tornado warnings that have just come out, two brand new ones. It is no longer for Amelia County. It is for the storm that is down near Kinbridge, as well as the storm that is up in northwestern sections of the Richmond area. So we're going to go through here and look at each of these storms. I'm going to take this thing and just got to save a couple frames here so we can bounce back and forth between these things. So there's the one storm that's right on Interstate 64, right at about the Rockville exit. And then let's go farther south, and we've got another circulation, and that's this one, a significant circulation here. All right, so near the Kinbridge area, likelihood of a tornado developing here at any time with this storm near Kinbridge, a strong circulation. And I want to put a storm track on this thing and show you guys where that one is headed, as well as the Richmond Metro one. So there's one there, and also the one in the Richmond area. And this is also a very strong rotation. So back-to-back storms here coming out with tornado warnings on them. And looking at the velocities, again, lots of lightning. Remember I mentioned a moment ago that lightning will a lot of times indicate that we've got an updraft going up with these storms, and that is what we're seeing right now. Strong updrafts coming up with these storms. They don't have to be too high into the atmosphere to make use of the shear that we have, because it is a very highly sheared atmosphere, and with these low-topped supercells, that's all it takes. And again, you look at this in northwest sections of Richmond, it is not at all what looks like what would be a tornado, but in fact, you do have a tornado warning there. So this is, I want to save this one off as well. Come back to that in a moment. And the one down near Blackstone, again, this is near Kinbridge heading up to Blackstone. And that is another storm that has a tornado warning with it. So you've got the storm that's farther south, the storm also up around the metro area. And again, both of these now have tornado warnings on them. There's the circulation near Kinbridge. There's the circulation up around Rockville. Let's put a time of arrival on this one for those of you that live up in the Richmond area, north and west of Richmond. Again, moving to the north at 40 miles per hour, north-northeast at 40 miles per hour. That will take it near Hylas at 135, Windham at 136, Goodall at 140, Lone Oak 143, Scotchtown 148, Oliver at 152, Verdon at 155, and Cedar Fork at 201. And again, there's those times of arrival there for you. We'll go back to the other storm as well and go into the velocities there and look at that storm. This one is gone. We're going to get rid of that one. It no longer is an issue. And we will go down and look at the storm near Kinbridge. This storm has a strong circulation with it as well. We'll go ahead and put a time arrival on that one. Also moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. That's going to take it near Murdoch's at 139, Irby at 140, Blackstone at 147. If you live in Blackstone, this one's going to come right up over town the way it looks right now. Wellville 154, North Wellville 156, and Spainville at 2 o'clock. So you're seeing that some of these locations have been mentioned a couple of times. That's called training. These storms are training. They're moving over the same spots, one after the other, and that's also going to be a problem with flash flooding with this amount of heavy rain that we see with these things. All right, so let's go up here and look at these storms again. Two storms, both of them have strong rotation on them. Both of them could produce tornadoes. You've got one near Kenbridge heading up toward Blackstone, tornado warning there. You've got another storm that is farther north. This one's going to be up toward the Richmond area, northwest of Richmond. That storm also has the potential for a tornado. This thing is just ingesting so much data, it is having a tough time loading. So there's that one storm to the south, and then we'll take you in tighter here. Even a little bit of an indication of a hook echo right in there right now near the Kenbridge area. So again, if you live north and east of Kenbridge right now, you need to take your tornado safety precautions. Always remember lowest level, the most interior part of your home. And you folks in Blackstone, this thing is headed right for you. Farther north, another storm north and west of Short Pump. New tornado warning. This is going to be out near the Rockville area, right along Interstate 64. And this storm is moving to the northeast as well. It's moving at about 40 miles per hour as well. So looking at the storm and the velocities here, you've got a pretty strong circulation, again, north and east of Kenbridge. It's going to be headed up toward Blackstone. There's your time of arrival. Murdoch's at 139, Irby 140, Blackstone 147, Wellville at 154, North Wellville 156, and Spainville at 2 o'clock. Again, these circulations, they're popping up very quickly. The radar, it's tough to discern them sometimes because the beam is shooting over the top of them. They are these low-top supercells. They don't extend very high up into the atmosphere, and you can see that at only about 20,000 feet. Low-level rotation here with these low-top supercells, and a lot of times the radar will beam shoot right over the top of it, and you just won't see a whole lot from it. All right, let's go back here and look at the storms again. We'll start you off. There's the storm near Kenbridge, and we'll talk about the storm also farther north up in the Richmond area. Again, this one's got a tremendous amount of lightning to it, so a good indication you've got more of an updraft there. And then here is the storm that's going to be out near Windham, going to be heading up toward Doswell and Beaver Dam. And what I want to show you now is take you in closer. Again, there's the circulation headed toward Murdoch's at 139 and then over toward Blackstone at 147. So that is my primary concern. I know you got a lot of rural areas in here, but I'm concerned about Blackstone. Blackstone is going to be right in the middle of this thing as it comes on up, if it still has a significant rotation. And I want to look farther north. There's the circulation north and west of Windham. So if you live out near Windham, you need to take your tornado safety precautions. It looks like the circulation will pass just to your north and west, right over Rockville. So as of right now, this storm is going to be headed right along out near Rockville. We're looking at Highway 271. So that's Pouncey Track. It's pump coming out toward Pouncey Track, out near Rockville, and then Rockville Road. So anywhere from Rockville Road to Pouncey Track, that is where the circulation is, and after that, it is going to be headed up towards St. Peter's Church Road, and then Mountain Road, Highway 33 out here. And it's not going to be too far away from the Federal Club, if you know where the Federal Club is. So again, there's Montpelier at the top of your screen in Hanover County, and then extending all the way down 33, extending all the way down into town, right when it hits 295. So it's going to pass right between those, and likely going to be very close to the Dominion Club right now, north and west of the Dominion Club, and then on toward the Federal Club. It's just a good landmark. A lot of folks want to know where that is. Right along Highway 33 is the Federal Club, and as it continues to head in that direction. And again, putting the loop on this, that's where that circulation is going to pass, and it is still a pretty decent circulation. And then after that, it looks like it'll pass Miss Montpelier barely to the east and Ashland a little bit back to the west. So tornado warning continues for that area. Let's go over here and look at this in your regular intensities. This is what you would normally see on radar. No indication that you would have any kind of tornado with that. But you look at the presentation on velocities, and it really shows you what's happening inside the storm. So again, here's the storm farther south. I'm going to go ahead and take this off here because these storms are moving quickly. You have two rotations in here. Now, the one that prompted the tornado warning is the one that is farther south, north and east of Kenbridge. I was mentioning that a moment ago, how it was really ramping up and And sure enough, they pulled the trigger on that and issued a tornado warning. So that is with this circulation right in here. And that is still a tight circulation that's coming up in far northeastern sections of Lunenburg County, and it'll be moving into Nottoway County shortly. It could clip parts of Brunswick County, but I think it's going to mainly be a Lunenburg and Nottoway County storm. Then after that, you've got another circulation that is right over 460, almost identical to the last tornadic circulation that moved up over there. So you have two of them. The main one is this one down to the south. That is the one that is posing the greatest threat at this time. But I tell you, both of these circulations, both of those circulations mean business. And you got the one up here that is not quite as impressive, but it is still a circulation. Tornado warning still continues. You have inbound winds here, the south and east, and these brighter red outbound winds right in here, and that is an indication of the circulation that is going just like this in a counterclockwise way. So that is right over Rockville, the threat for the tornado at this time. So a couple of tornado warnings. The one to the south goes until 2 o'clock. The radar indicated the tornado over Kinbridge. And you got to be watching out in not only Lunenburg County, but Nottoway County. And then that warning also extends into Dinwiddie County and northwestern Brunswick County. I think the Brunswick aspect there, just extreme northwestern Brunswick County. Most of Brunswick County will be fine. And then the warning farther north, the one that's on the screen in the big window, we can look at that. That one is going to be for parts of the metro area. So a little north and west, you can see right in here, and that warning looks like it has been allowed to expire. It has. It's just been allowed to expire. So, well, now they reissued it. Okay, so they let it drop, they reissued it. So let's check out what it says now. Just now coming out, and I think that was a mistake on their part, and they popped it back in. So when you look at this, you see the fluorescent pink area flashing. That is likely just a mistake. For some reason, it got dropped out and it got put back in. So there's the warning. It continues right in here. Tornado warnings over Rockville. Looks like they might have dropped Goochland County out of the warning. Should not have dropped out entirely, but it looks like they pulled Goochland out of it. And so currently it's for Louisa County, and I would say Hanover County as well. It is north now. Just a little north of Oilville. The main threat now is going to be into Hanover County at this time. So Hanover County, and I know you folks in Louisa County are in it. I got to show you here, though. This is Louisa County right back here behind me. Right here, this line, that dark line, that's Louisa County. That is on the very, very far left side of this thing. So it is almost entirely a Hanover County situation. You do have circulation that's close to Louisa County, but for the most part, it is going to be into Hanover County. Circulation right in there over Rockville, a little north of Rockville, is coming up over Highway 33, not too far away from the Federal Club out there, and then it's going to be headed up over Ashland Road, over 54, between Montpelier and Ashland, but very close to Montpelier. That is going to be the main threat area with that storm as it continues to move north and east. And I'll go ahead and put a time of arrival on it for you. Again, it's a pretty broad circulation that does not look quite as good now, but we'll go ahead and put it in there, let you know where this thing is headed. And at 40 miles per hour to the north-northeast, we're looking at Goodall at 144, Gilman at 147, all the old bandanas on there, 151. All right, Coatesville 153, down to Vernon at 159, Ruther Glen at 206, and Ladysmith. So a couple more prominent areas on there that folks may be a little bit more familiar with. And those are all in the path of this storm if it maintains itself. Now, as of right now, those locations, Ruther Glen on up toward Ladysmith, are not in the tornado warning, but I'm drawing this out there far enough to where everybody can have an idea if they are going to be in the path of this thing, because these continue to develop, weaken, and then redevelop. So they're all kind of following along a similar path. And we have overstorms as well. We can look at Doppler Max 6 3D and look at the entire area. Again, you've got multiple storms that have tornado warnings on them. Two of those, if you guys pull up Doppler Max 6 3D, we can look at the broad view. There we go. And right now you've got a storm currently that is back to the south and west. So this is going to be the one down in Lunenburg, moving into parts of Nottoway County, and then you've got the storm that is north and west of Richmond this time. So 2 storms, tornado warnings on them. The circulation is very hard to see, but this one's going to be right in here. And then the other circulation, there's multiple circulations. Look like this one's getting a little bit better organized now. And we'll go back over and look at the other more classic presentation, if you guys can pull that up on just our regular graphics, and look at that. There is the intensities. And so intensities meaning we're just looking at the rainfall here. And again, you look at this, it just looks like a big mess of rain. It does not look like what you would consider a tornadic situation. But then when you wipe away everything and look at the velocities, then you really start to see, what it is that's in there. So this is farther south. Let's get that one off there and pull up the velocities that are farther north. And that's going to be right in here near Rockville. Still a little bit of a circulation right over Rockville. This is going to be moving north of Windham now and heading up toward Montpelier. So we're going to put that on there, and so that one's going to be right up here with the other storm. So there are the intensities: heavy rainfall, Rockville to Windham, up to Montpelier. Moving into Ashland, there are the velocities, and again, the velocities aren't off the charts, but we do have an outbound wind there and an inbound wind next to it, indicating the potential for the circulation. And then farther south, here's the other storm that has a tornado warning on it. That's near Blackstone. And the main circulation is going to be farther south of Blackstone right now. That is just looking at the overall intensities, again, the rainfall intensity, and the circulation with that one. Again, it's going to be right over Murdoch's, and it does look better now. This circulation does look better in terms of, or worse, depending on how you look at it. It's stronger, would be the best way to put it. So the circulation is stronger with this storm now than it was last time we looked at it. So that is it's not a good thing. So we've got the storm, this is the regular intensities there, and then there are the velocities with them, and you can see the circulation with it. Go ahead and get rid of a couple of these here. Just got a couple of extraneous graphics from earlier storms. All right, so back up at the top here, the storm that is in the Richmond area. Again, heavy rainfall. There's no threat for a tornado in the city of Richmond. At this time, it's all north and west. It is going to be in this area right here from north of Glen Allen and just a little bit north of Windham. That is the main area here. So let's back this out and draw a storm track on it. It's a broad area of circulation, so I'm going to make a broad storm track on it. And again, it's moving northeast at about 40 miles per hour. That's going to take it near Goodall at 148, Gilman 152, Goshen Crossroad at 155, down toward Ladysmith at 213. So again, that's going to be up right along Route, a little bit west of Route 95, Interstate 95, if this thing maintains itself. So there's the intensities, rainfall intensities, there's your circulation, and there is your time of arrival. And then farther south, once you get down to this other storm near Blackstone, you see the storm there, and there's the circulation with it. It's a pretty good circulation, and we will draw a new time of arrival with this one. And again, it looks like there's multiple circulations in there, but the one to the south is going to be the most impressive one. And we'll draw a broad track on that one. And there we go, north and east. And there's your time of arrival. So we're looking at Blackstone at 150, Wellville at 158, and then down towards Spainville 203, Earls at 208, Manborough at 213, and Ammon coming up at 215. And again, that's all based on whether or not this storm can maintain itself. And again, it's not the tallest storm. You know, we're looking at storms here that are only about 25, 30,000 feet. So we can update the height on this thing, and it's not the tallest storm out there, but it is the tallest storm out there, but it's not the tallest storm that we typically would see with situations like this. But these are low-top supercells, and they just do not, they don't present well in radar when you first look at them. Not much of a hail threat here. It's mainly just the threat for circulating winds. So the warnings we have right now, if you're just now joining us, 2 tornado warnings. We have one north and west of the Richmond area. It's mainly for Hanover County at this time. And you can see right there, looks like this warning has now been allowed to expire. So the circulation wound down to a point now where they've allowed this tornado warning to expire. And again, it looks like a mess to begin with, but all of these storms are going to kind of look like this. Just going to be some heavy precipitation returns, and then within there you'll have the circulation. The circulation is very broad now. You don't have as tight a circulation as we had a moment ago, so that circulation is wound down to the point that the warning on that storm has been allowed to expire. But still, we're going to track the circulation just in case it wraps up again. So be near Gilman at 152, and then all the way down toward Ladysmith at 213 other times in there, and this would pass between Beaver Dam and Doswell, so stay alert in that area. Now, we continue to have the tornado warning on the storm farther south. This one developed south of Kenbridge and moved just a little bit east of town, and now it's headed up toward Blackstone. Some indication here of a little inflow region and a very muted, kind of a weak little hook echo, and the circulation is not quite as strong, but you can see outbound winds in red, inbound winds in green, so a circulation there. Also another circulation farther north developing, outbound in red, inbound in green. It's an indication of the circulation there. Again, the radar's back behind me here. And again, the problem with this type of situation and these storms is that the atmosphere is not going to promote very tall storms. So these are low-topped supercells. So what happens is you get them developing, and here's your time of arrival. 158 Wellville, 2 o'clock in North Wellville, 208 in Earls, and 213 in the Mamborough area. And we're only looking at about 20,000 feet or so in the atmosphere. So where the radar site is, with that angled beam, it'll shoot right over the top of this. So sometimes even the subtlest of rotations on radar would indicate the presence of some surface circulation, the potential for a tornado. With the amount of humidity that we have out there as well, the cloud bases are very, very low to the ground. We've already had damage down in Mecklenburg County from a tornado earlier, so the atmosphere is set up for a continued threat for tornadoes. There's not a tornado watch. We've already had numerous tornado warnings. There's no tornado watch because it's just a highly conditional situation where when you have a couple of these storms developing, they could produce tornadoes, and so we've seen quite a few warnings, but no broad watch for the area. Again, the main concern right now is this storm south of Blackstone that continues to move north and east. So stay alert and take your tornado safety precautions in Blackstone and Wilson's as this comes on through. It does have a decent rotation with it. You need to take your tornado safety precautions if you're in the area. Get in the lowest part of your home, away from any external walls. Don't be in a room that has any kind of windows. If you have a basement, that's always the best place to be. But just always think lowest level and into the interior part of your home as this comes on through. Again, it's a big storm here stretching up past Wilson's, but the main threat is just south of Blackstone. That's where the circulation is right now. And you can see the colors here. The reds indicate winds flowing outbound from the radar site, green inbound toward the radar site. And when they're right next to each other, that's a circulation. In this case, it's a broad circulation. It's not as tight as it was earlier, but that's what we're seeing with these storms, is that they will spin up for 10 to 15 minutes and then spin down again. So they cycle. These storms go through a cycle, and we will likely see this happen again, as we have seen through this entire area, from Mecklenburg into Lunenburg, up toward Nottoway, Amelia County, and even farther north now into the Richmond area. So there's your time of arrival. Wellville 158, North Wellville at 2 o'clock, Spainville at 203, Earls at 208, Mamborough at 213, and Ammon at 215. Again, this is one of those unique situations where there's a threat for severe weather, but that only threat is tornadoes. These storms do not extend high in the atmosphere, so there's no real threat for any hail. It's just a very highly sheared environment, so these things will develop, and any amount of upward motion is going to tap into that sheared environment and give us the potential for a mesocyclone or a tornado. Again, still a circulation there. This is going to continue just a little south of Blackstone. You need to keep those tornado precautions handy if you do live in the Blackstone area. Just think interior part of your home and on the lowest level. And then looking at that storm near Blackstone, headed up toward Wilson's. And eventually this is going to be crossing 460 again. This one's taking just a slightly more eastward route than the last storm that prompted the tornado warning that moved just a little bit closer to Crew. So this one's going to head up over Blackstone, and then it could impact you folks in Wilson's if it maintains its circulation. Again, we've seen these things develop and then weaken again, and we will see if it does. But again, there's another circulation north of the one in Blackstone. This is the main concern. That's another circulation, though, that we will continue to track. And again, that circulation up around Rockville and Montpelier, No longer a concern. We're going to keep tracking it, but there's no longer a tornado warning with that storm, as that circulation at one point was very impressive, and now it has weakened a good bit. All right, so continue to track these things, and the main concern right now is the tornado farther south. There's a look at what's happening in the Richmond area, and again, there's that circulation that is kind of falling apart, so we're going to skip that one for now. I'll keep coming back and looking at it occasionally, but again, our main concern is going to be what's going on down in parts of, now looks like Nottoway County. It's almost completely out of Lunenburg County, so it is a Nottoway County storm at this point. So even though the warning continues for Nottoway, it is now into, or it continues for Lunenburg County. It's all into Nottoway County at this point. I'm going to drop this down a little bit more south and west. These things are really moving, 40 miles per hour. So again, it's going to be Blackstone, and then potentially Wilson's, and then we will see. It looks on this trajectory that it moved between Manborough and Lake Chesdin. So Manborough over to Lake Chesdin. So once again, we'll be talking about storms closer to the Richmond area. Looking at the broad view, back into Cumberland County, a few storms there. There's no indication of any circulation there. And I'm just looking at everything here on Doppler Max 6 3D just to let you guys know that everybody else is okay, even though we're focusing on the one storm that we have here that is in Nottoway County. So Nottoway County, going to be clipping northwestern sections of Dinwiddie County. So very, very close to Wilson. So moving up toward Blackstone, very close to Wilson's. There's the velocities. And now it's getting to be a little bit better circulation with this thing. So Blackstone area, you guys need to take those tornado safety precautions. This circulation is, it means business. Tell you what, that is right over town right now. So you likely are going to have a lowered base with this broad mesocyclone, and it's going to come up right over town, and there's the potential for a tornado with this storm as we continue to track this thing through Nottoway County. And again, we've had a series now of tornado warnings back to back to back, multiple tornado warnings at times, and they can just continue to develop kind of in the same areas and continue to move on through the area. So again, that's your main concern, is a storm that is approaching Blackstone, and it concerns me that that circulation is getting better or getting stronger at this time. And there is an indication of even a little bit of a hook echo trying to develop with this thing. So that is the time lapse on that. I'll go a little bit farther north just to show you what's happening in Richmond. Just some moderate to occasionally heavy rainfall in downtown Richmond. The real heavy stuff is out toward Montpelier and Rockville and back toward Haydensville, Cartersville. No circulation of real significance out to the west. So it's going to be mainly this storm right here that is moving into Blackstone. And I'm going to, as we're looking at that, I'm going to set something up here on Doppler Max 6 3D. All right, so if we can come over to Doppler Max 6 3D, I'll show you something that we're looking at here. And this is going to be near Blackstone. We have a weak echo region here just south of town, this little area in green. So that would be an area where you have an updraft. So it looks like you might have an updraft right there just south of Blackstone, moving into Blackstone, that's within, on the right side, within that circulation. Looking at this thing from a cross-sectional standpoint, you can look at what's happening within the storm. Man, it is hard. We are far away from the radar site, so it's really difficult to resolve this thing at the lowest levels. That's a struggle, but you can see it's a little bit right below the M in Amelia, all the way down there, this little green bump. That's an indication of that updraft area within the storm, why we have that little bounded weak echo region. All right, so heading up toward Blackstone, let's go back over to the regular presentation, and that's where the storm is going to be most concerning at this time, is right over Blackstone. The warning on this goes until, let's see, there's an update here. This is just coming out. An update to this one a little while ago near Blackstone, moving northeast, and it will remain in effect until 2 o'clock for the locations out ahead of it, which is going to be Dinwiddie County as well as Nottoway County. And it continues to really motor. So it's just a couple minutes before 2. We're going to see if this thing actually gets extended. I actually think it will, based on the velocities that we're getting. Here is the latest velocity, and there's still a pretty good circulation with that. It's the best circulation that's going on anywhere in Central Virginia at this time. You know, looking at everything else here, I know this is not the prettiest presentation to look at, but this is what tells me where the circulations are with these storms. You got something out toward Tobaccoville, but it's not that big of a deal. It's really this one here, just east of Blackstone. So I'm thinking you might get a new polygon popping up at any moment now for this one, or it will be allowed to expire. So hopefully this thing will continue to wind down. But looking at this radar presentation, it still looks like, let's see. All right, so the update is that it looks like it's going to expire at 2 o'clock. They're going to allow it to expire because of the weakening of it, and it is weaker, but it's definitely still there. So what we're looking at here is outbound winds in the red, inbound winds in the green, and there goes your tornado warning. So it has been allowed to expire. So let me just, before we kick it back to programming, I just want to show you this very quickly. That is a circulation that bears watching. There's no question about it. It's a significant circulation. It is, outbound winds are stronger than the inbound winds, and that concerns me a little bit. And this is moving up toward Wilson's. So we're going to continue to watch this thing very carefully as it approaches Wilson's and eventually Manborough, because after it moves up through Nottoway County and into Amelia County, it's Chesterfield County next. And if it maintains its strength and circulation, that'll be something to deal with. So as of right now, let's see, what do we got? A new warning on here? No, it's been allowed to expire. Okay, all right. So we, at this moment, have no warnings anywhere in the Richmond or Central Virginia area. So that's good news. There's a broad look at everything, just some heavy rainfall. All circulations at this time, except this one in Nottoway County, have completely gone away. We're going to continue to track this carefully, though. I do not think we've seen our last tornado warning of the day, but we will be here watching this, and as soon as another storm exhibits very strong rotation, we will be back to update you. Stay with CBS 6, the Weather Authority.